Hi, welcome to your first Gold Source era modeling tutorial for Half-Life 1 games. We're going to be using an ancient program called milkshape 3D to create models for Half-Life. You can go find it here at milkshape3d.com by Chumbalamsoft, and you can download the latest version, Beta 1 1.8.5 here. I think you need a license for it. You got to pay some cash for it, but this is how we're going to do it. We're also going to be using the Software Jet's Half-Life model viewer. You view the model, you can download it here to mod database. And then I'm also going to be using Jack, the level editor, to create a level and put the model in. I'm also going to be using Paint. I know, amazing. Alright, let's set up the workspace folder. So I have it in my documents here, and I'm just going to right click in here, make a new folder. We're going to be making a cube today. So make folder cube. Let's go inside of it. Now let's launch milkshape 3D. Go inside there. I'm going to go reset all of the projections here. So just right click in each one of these fields. Right click, reset view, reset view. If you don't have all these windows here, just click window, viewport for windows. Let's get a better angle on our 3D view. We're going to left click in the blue here. And then we're going to mouse 3-click, just rotate, and then you can scroll in to get a little bit closer. I want to make sure that snap to grid is set on, and we're going to make a primitive. Got very limited options here, so we're just going to click box. Going to go to this viewport here and scroll in just a tad. And I'm going to drag a little box for myself. Perfect. Next, we need to make a joint, and the joint is going to be the origin point for this cube, so the game knows exactly where it should be placed when you place it in the level editor. So click the joint tool. I'm going to click at the dead center bottom of the box. We can check in all these viewports that it is in fact in the dead center. You can also check in the 3D viewport by right-clicking in the blue and going up to the wireframe option and rotating around it and confirming that yes, it is in the center. I'm going to right-click, change it back to textured, and we're set. So now we need to make sure that the joint is assigned to the box. I'm going to go over the Joints tab. I'm going to rename this to Origin. Rename it. Then I'm going to double click, make sure it's selected. Then I'm going to go back to Model tab. Click the Select tool. Click the Face option. Hold down Shift and select the box. You know, if your wireframe overlay is not on, you can go down to the blue, turn that on, make sure you can see it in the 3D viewport. Sometimes I like doing that. Okay, great. Now we can go back into the Joints tab. Click Assign, and we can tell that it has been assigned to it if we click this option here in the under the vertex weights category, draw vertex weights. It's highlighted in red. That means it's assigned. Okay, now we need to create a material for this. So let's go to the Materials tab. We're going to click New, and then we're going to rename this to green. I'm going to make my cube green. You can make it whatever color you want. Rename that. Now let's go to Paint. We need to make sure that the dimensions here in Paint are divisible by 16. Can't be 16 by 16, but 128 by 128 seems to be working for me. So I'm just going to select this chartreusey green. And I'm going to use the paint bucket, and you can resize the canvas just by grabbing on these little corners here. Next, very important, we need to save this as a bitmap image, and make sure you're saving this file to your workspace folder. And I'm going to name this file green. And this option here is very important. It has to be 256 color bitmap, otherwise the model will not compile correctly. It's a limitation of the engine. So click Save. It's going to yell at you about that. That's fine. I'm just going to go into my work folder and confirm that it's there. Excellent. Let's minimize this, go back into milkshape. Now model, click the models tab and deselect everything. You can just click the selection tool and click off on the side of the grid to make sure everything's deselected. I'm going to go to the groups tab, double click on our box group, then I'm going to go to our materials tab, and now we need to assign the texture to the box. So we're going to go down to where it says none here, and we're going to navigate to our workspace folder and click the BMP image, and then we need to assign the material to the box. So just go down here and click assign, and boom, just like that. And if it's not showing up there, that's because you need to right click here in the blue and change it to textured. You know, it might be on smooth shaded, so just change it to textured. I'm going to go back into the models tab, deselect everything, and now we need to save this MS3D file as our reference. So in our workspace folder, we're going to call this cube ref. Save that. Now we need to create the reference and the sequence SMD. So what we need to do is we need to make a keyframe first for this, otherwise it won't export properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Joints tab, double click Origin. Now we're going to go in the bottom right, click Animation, this little animation button. And we need to just create one simple keyframe by clicking the Animate tab here, and then doing Set Keyframe. And we know it's been set because we get a little prompt here saying that it has been set. Now unclick the animation button. Make sure that this is grayed out because you can't export or save without the model going haywire in this program for some reason. It's really old and dumb. I'm going to go into the Models tab folder, deselect everything again, and now we're going to export this as a reference file. So make sure we're in the workspace folder, and we need to call this cube reference. Cube ref, I'm just going to abbreviate, makes it easier. There you go, export that as a reference. That's really important to do that because let's say you have a bunch of animation sequences for a model. You can just export or save the export the reference, and that'll change the model for the entirety of all those animation sequences. It's really nice. Okay, now we need a sequence file, so we're going to go File, Export, Half-Life SMD, and we need to export the sequence file. So I'm going to name this cube_sequence, or SEQ for short. Check the sequence button, export that. Let's confirm that it's all in the same folder. Looks good. We got our two SMDs and the texture looks great. All right, now we need to generate a QC file. So we're going to go to Tools, Half-Life, Generate QC file. I'm sure we're in the workspace folder. I'm going to call this cube and just save it. Okay, now we need to do the technical part, which is like the coding part. We have this QC file. I'm going to be using Notepad++, but alternatively you can just open up Notepad and drag this bad boy in there. I don't like using that, so I'm just going to go with my default. We don't have this configured correctly, so just as a reference, I'm going to use another QC file that I was working on to use as a reference, and you can refer to it too. So in this first line here, we want to make sure that the path for the model is in our work folder. The path of the SMDs is in our work folder as well. And the path of the textures is in our work folder as well. Next, we need to tell the compiler where the reference file is. And obviously, it's in this path here. But it kind of already knows that because you referred to it already in this SMD part. So we're just going to give it the title of that reference SMD. So I'm just going to select it, press F2, Control C, and go back in here and write that in here. Okay, we need to basically do the same thing, but for this time for the animation sequence loop. And it's going to be this guy right here. Find it. Here's the cube SEQ SMD. select it, hit F2, copy it, and replace that. All right, we're all set. So make sure that this is saved. And let's just minimize everything out of our way. We're going to go compile this model now. So we're going to go back into milkshape, tools, Half-Life, compile QC. It is not throwing us any errors, so that means we did everything correctly. And we're going to go check to see if the model is actually in our folder. It is. So now I'm going to open up my Half-Life model viewer, and I'm going to load the model just to test if it's actually working. And sure enough, we have a cube. Awesome. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to take this cube model and copy it. And we're going to go navigate to our Steam folder where Half-Life is. And we're going to go to the Valve folder, the models folder, and then we're going to paste this in here. Excellent. Now we need to put this cube into a level. I'm going to be using Jack. If you don't know how to use this program, there's plenty of tutorials on it. And you can get it on Steam or download it for free. So now we're going to make a new level for the Half-Life game engine. I'm just going to use the default room. I love how it just kind of sets you up like that. That's why I use Jack. Okay, so let's create an entity. I'm going to put it in the center of the room. Hit enter. I'm going to select the entity, right-click properties, go up to cycler. And then we're going to navigate into that Half-Life Valve folder, models folder, where we put the cube earlier. So click model, and let's go browse for cube. There it is. Open that, and bam, look at that. We have a cube in our game. So that's really awesome, but it's not awesome enough yet. We need to compile the map and see what it looks like in game. So I'm just going to name this model, this level model, basic compile parameters, press OK. It's going to go crazy on you. And voila. We have a cube in our game. And that's that.